Hello and welcome to Tuesday's programme. I'm John T. Messer.
And I'm Victoria Davis. Coming up tonight between now and 6:30.
Good evening. A farmer on the Blackdown Hills says she has considered using veterinary equipment to operate on herself because of the struggle that she's had getting NHS treatment.
Freddie Parker has lived with chronic pain for nearly a year, to the point where she spends most of the day lying down. Unable to work, she's been forced to sell off much of the livestock at her farm near Wellington. Ben McGrail has this report. What's other news now? A 21-year-old woman has died after a crash in Devizes yesterday.
Military staff across the West Country who worked on Sea King helicopters are being warned that they may have been exposed to asbestos. The helicopter was...
And there are 3 days left for people living in Bristol to have their say on the effectiveness of 20-mile-an-hour speed zones. A study by...
Next on this evening's programme, a pensioner has told ITV News that he's happy about his 2 decades of hoarding, despite it being recently classified as a mental disorder by the World Health Organization.
Well, experts say there are more than 1 million hoarders in the UK and hope the latest classification will make it easier to get help when it's needed. Sam Blackledge has this report. Alice Partridge is a clinical psychologist who specialises in hoarding. Now, Alice, many people might say that it's obvious that hoarding is a mental illness. So do you think it's important it's been recognised?
It is a real thing, but also just thinking about the healthcare and the support they receive from kind of professionals.
And I guess there is quite a fine line, isn't there? But people who have stuff in their house that perhaps serves no purpose but is actually impacting on their lives quite heavily.
Exactly, and you know, we all have a relationship with possessions. I think it's
research at the University of Bath. Would you say then that we are a hoarding nation?
Oh gosh, that is I think we all have a relationship with possessions, and I think
Thing, because we were just talking both sets of our parents. You go around their houses, they've got heaps of stuff that they think will become useful, whereas perhaps
World War kind of 1 and 2, you know, possessions, you had to hold on to them.
Given now that it is a bit more recognised by the World Health Organization, that sort of care professionals will begin to recognise those sorts of illnesses and treat them in the same way we treat other men. Yeah, it is a fascinating subject. Alice, thanks very much for coming in from the University of Bath to talk about it. We could go on for ages, but we'll have to leave it there, I'm afraid. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
We could go on for ages. If it is an issue that you are affected by, then do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. You can email westcountry@itv.com. Now, still ahead on this evening's programme before half.
Well, the ITV News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30. Here's Charlene White with the details. But
next on our programme, we all know the problems of potholes and how they can cause problems for drivers and cyclists. According to a Freedom of Information request, the A346, which runs from Swindon to Marlborough, was the 3rd most complained about road in England last year.
Well, scientists working in one lab might have found a solution. A team of experts have unveiled a high-tech drone which can fly through city centre skies before landing and repairing cracks in the road before they get any worse.
Well, it's hoped dozens of the aircraft could soon be in operation and solving Britain's pothole problem within years. Here's Matt Price.
I think I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, OK.
Now, it's being predicted that Cheltenham's High Street could be reinvigorated with a new £23 million department store due to open in the autumn. Well,
with shops like House of Fraser having very public struggles over recent months, John Lewis is creating 300 extra jobs ahead of its October launch. Well, Ken Goodwin has been for a look around and is in Cheltenham for us this evening. So, Ken, at a time when some of our traditional high street brands are struggling, is this a risk? OK, we're going to bring you a quick bit of football news now, because it is the second round of the EFL Cup tonight, with 3 of our local sides in action. Now, a traditional punt based purely on a handful of photographs dating back more than 100 years has today been officially launched at Hestercombe Gardens near Taunton. Yes, the painstaking process of returning a handcrafted punt to the Pear Pond, try saying that in a hurry, which nestles at the foot of the Quantock Hills, began when 6 photographs were discovered by chance. David Woodland has the story. Lovely way to spend a day, and nice to see Jim Booth doing so well as well. Hope you're doing well, Jim. Absolutely. Well, Charlie's here now with the weather. So, Charlie, will it be boating weather over the... It's probably going to come back, doesn't it?
Exactly.
OK, Charlie, thanks very much indeed. Now, before we leave you, let's remind you of the main headlines here in the West Country this evening. Well, that's all we've got time for this evening. The late news is, of course, here at 10:30 p.m. After the break, the ITV News continues with Charlene White. But from all of us on this evening's programme, have a lovely evening. Bye-bye. Good night.